Hello! Welcome back to another exciting episode of MegStories. If you're enjoying what you're watching, we kindly ask you to show your support by liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. My wife cheated on me with a work colleague. My wife has had both a physical and emotional affair with a married work colleague since early March. App lives nearby. We've been together nearly 18 years, 2 amazing kids, great house and jobs, supportive family, no major issues. D-Day was 4th September. I'd been a bit suspicious of some behavioral changes such as increased alcohol consumption and phone use, gym membership for the first time in years, lots of new outfits. So rightly or wrongly looked at her phone, and I'm glad I did. She was hiding 10 months of WhatsApp chat by keeping it in her archived section to avoid notifications. I pursued her from November, and it seems she was flattered by the attention. She deleted call records, but stupidly kept every message they had exchanged. In some ways, I think she wanted to get caught. I exported the entire chat that night as evidence and got all the juicy details. How they video call to chat and get each other off, how in the office they sneak into the disabled toilet to feel-ups in meeting rooms, a hookup on a business trip in a hotel, how they love and dream about each other, how they wish they'd found each other before they both settled and had kids. Etc. She spoke to him about the things we were doing as a family and what my children were up to. The level of detail I've had has completely messed me up. I decided what I wanted to say to her, then confronted her the next day. First, I asked if there is anything she's wanted to tell me. She figured I'd seen a message on her phone, but didn't know the extent of it. She looked me square in the eye and lied to my face, telling me there was someone she had grown close to at work, but nothing had happened. After 20-30 minds of fishing for the truth, I had to bring out the evidence and reel off a few quotes. Then it hit her. I knew it all. She was so sorry, didn't want to hurt me, scared she'd lose her career and how our kids would be impacted financially, what her friends and family would think, that I would tell App's wife. My initial reaction was they had to go no contact with him, resigning the next day with no notice period, if she had any interest in salvaging our family. She begged that wasn't possible, that it would look odd and raise questions, that she needed handover notes from him as he was the only one who knew how to use a particular work system, that I couldn't tell his wife because she could get her sacked for revenge. I stupidly conceded on the points raised for nearly 3 weeks, giving him time to find another job. It's been excruciating, and I feel if she was finally putting me first, she would have found a way for him to go right away. They've stopped all personal messages and calls since and are making sure time in the office together is limited. App is leaving the job very soon. She says she wants to work through this with me, but then she would because I've got her over a barrel. I haven't spoken to a divorce lawyer yet, but given the complexity of the situation, I realize now is probably the right time. As far as I was aware, our relationship was pretty solid. We laugh and joke, have fun, rarely argue, etc. Yes, communication could be better, but that's typical of lots of relationships. For years, I'd always had a higher sex drive than her, which at times has caused disagreements due to the frustration of all the chasing being one way. But it wasn't a deal breaker for me, as I loved her to death as my wife and the mother of our children. Clearly, I was just doing something wrong because she couldn't get enough of this guy and was doing things with him she won't entertain with me. I think she has some major issues to work through to justify in her head that all this was okay so long as no one knew or got hurt. I've been a mess and signed off work for 2 weeks. Insomnia, anxiety, increased heart rate, not being able to think about anything else, etc. I'm traumatized but have now started individual therapy as of last Thursday, which is a positive step. The plan is for her to do the same as well as couples therapy to understand the how and why this happened, even if we can't stay together. My confidence and self-esteem were already a bit dented due to other issues such as my weight increase since COVID, but this has knocked me to a new low. I'm broken but have been coping by eating better and doing couch to 5K and get fitter for both myself and my kids. My ability to trust another human being with anything meaningful evaporated that day. I could never foresee this scenario. I didn't think she was capable of this level of evil, secrets, and lies. I feel I gave up a lot for her, such as having children wouldn't change it now, but wasn't something I was sure on even into my late 20s. Choice of house location when we moved, majority control of our finances, etc. I put her on a pedestal and think she mistook this as a sign of weakness on my part. I now see narcissistic traits in her that perhaps I turned a blind eye to previously. Other than speaking to a mate and the therapist, I've bottled this for 3 weeks. She says she's awoken from a dream fantasy land and would take it all back if she could. I don't trust a word she says. If we're going to try to work through this, there will be a list of rules that must be followed. For example, I feel her telling our families what's happened would be an action showing she's ready to take some responsibility over all this. I'd then be able to have a wider support network to deal with this. Everyone thinks so highly of her, this will bring her down to earth with a bump. She thought she was untouchable and isn't. One minute I love her and the next I hate her. I don't understand how she could do this to me or our children. I think it's taught me that anyone can be unfaithful given the perfect storm of circumstance. Infidelity fucking sucks. Don't cheat on your partner. Instead, talk to them regularly about your relationship, both the good and the bad. Always explore what you can do better. I hope you're never in my shoes, and my sympathies are with anyone who has to go through this. Any help and advice in dealing with all of this appreciated. Update 1 was a separate post for better visibility, now copied here. Thank you to anyone that has commented so far. A few things I can clarify. I suffered from insane jealousy and hysterical bonding upon first learning of all this. It's since cooled, we haven't had sex but have been back in the same bed, and I realized that was way too soon and gives totally the wrong impression of what my boundaries are right now. I've had unrestricted access to her phone since D-Day and will set up Find My iPhone tonight. She's already agreed to this. She has already agreed to both individual and couples therapy. The sooner her IC starts, the better. She seems genuinely remorseful, and I may not have conveyed this well enough with the original post. Repeated, I'm sorry, lots of crying, upset at how much pain she has caused me. Whilst I don't want to give my kids ages, I will say both are under 7 and 1 is at school. They know nothing of what's gone on. I don't see the need to traumatize them with this right now. Telling them when they are old enough to understand is an option. Sex with app was unprotected twice, though I can't be sure it wasn't more often than I'm being told. She had an STD test last week, waiting on result which she is going to show me. She states in the chat to app early on this was the first time she ever strayed, whilst of course I can't be sure, I do think this is likely the case. I agree with the general consensus she is yet to face any repercussions such as telling our family or app's wife, and these are a must for any chance of reconciliation. I am not set on either reconciliation or divorce. I'm open to this going either way, but need to see actions rather than words from her, with me dictating the narrative from here on in. The thing I need ASAP is no contact with app, and have stressed this to her. She earns double what I do. I don't want her to lose her job via gross misconduct, as it could make employment difficult going forward and directly impacts my children's well-being, rightly or wrongly. My stance was better she leaves the job of her own accord once she's found something else, and get him to go ASAP, which he has. Agreed to a date is agreed, but I won't share it here. Update 2. Thanks for all the advice and comments. It's given me some clarity around all of this. App has given notice to the employer, so moving closer to no contact and making sure I see the evidence of this also. I spoke to her in a calm and concise manner last night, talking about her needing to show accountability and responsibility, actions, not words, etc. She can see I've removed the emotion from the situation as much as possible. It scared her. She can see I'm now taking the lead on things, and she won't have control of what happens. I am working on my list of omoses, and if she's not on board with every request, then there will be no chance of reconciliation. She has already verbally agreed to tell our families in my presence if I want this. We're sleeping in separate beds. I've made it clear to her I need to show her my boundaries right now. If I need to go nuclear, I can and will, but keeping that powder dry for now, as 1, don't want to hurt my kids, and 2, see entry below. I agree telling App's wife must happen, and the news would be best coming from my wife, but doing so right now potentially shoots me in the foot. If my wife loses her job due to revenge and then can't pay me child maintenance, we also have an expensive mortgage and could struggle to keep up payments until the house is sold in the scenario of divorce. A postnup is a good idea if reconciliation is an option. We'll look into it. We're looking into individual therapy for her as a priority, as both her and I need to understand how she was capable of this regardless of divorce or reconciliation. I think she has some narcissistic qualities, and I'd like her to explore that. I'm keeping all my options open while studying how she responds to what I need to happen right now. She is showing regret and remorse via emotions and body language rather than just words. I no longer give any validity to the words. Plan to read a couple of the articles and books that have been suggested. Be my best 5K time today! Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.